budgeting for Mason County's future. It's Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning, Jeff. How are you?
I am well. Thanks for coming in.
Good. Thanks for having me. I think the last time that I saw you...
There we go. Sorry.
Right. Good to go now?
We're good to go now. Last time we saw each other was...
I think we were out at Alderbrook for the Polar Plunge.
Yeah, so. I noticed that you didn't jump in on that one.
I'm saving that. I think maybe next year might be...
well, it would be
waiting for the balmy weather.
It would be a major thing for a county commissioner to jump on in with us all.
Yeah,
just putting that out there.
Maybe by next year there'll be a few people ready to help give me a push.
It is a fun event up there helping out emergency services. Did you feel the earthquake last night?
Yeah, I did not actually, and that was kind of a point of contention in our house last night. My wife said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Feel what?" So, but then we found out we had a little bit of an earthquake, 4.2. So it's a good. What's the saying? Drop, cover, and hold.
Drop, cover, and hold. So, a reminder about these things.
Yeah, make sure that everybody has their preparedness kits, their disaster kits ready. I saw a lot of tweets about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good reminder. Last year we had the Cascadia Rising drill here. Shelton is a hub.
Yeah.
For the FEMA folks and first responders in the state. So, just a good little reminder. Last night in prime time.
If not, it's not if, it's when the big one's coming, they say.
Right, yeah. And so I was getting out of Union this morning. We had the earthquake over that way last night. Snow falling down this morning.
Man.
Cats and dogs living together.
It is mass hysteria. You got that right. Budgeting for Mason's County future is a topic of conversation today, but first let's talk a little bit about the sewer.
Yeah, so some things coming together on the sewer up in Belfair. Kind of a big ticket item. I know the commission has grappled with that in the past couple of years, and so Senator Sheldon hosted a meeting in his Olympia office last week, brought together some leaders from the Department of Ecology, Department of Commerce, and then I was able to attend with some of our county staff. Really just a great conversation with kind of trying to figure out where we stand, what our options are, and what we can take away from that to kind of work on building our plan here locally. One of the things that the ecology offered to us was an opportunity to explore extending the life of the loans, refinancing those at a lower rate. Which, if we're able to make that happen, would save us a lot of money throughout the life of that, make it a lot more solvent. So that's one option. One of the things that came out of it was there was no mandate in our loans and a grant agreement with the state to continue to expand the sewer system up there. Now, we do need to look at expanding it because we need customers in order to cover the cost.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. But there's not going to be a hammer from the state that says if you don't do it this way that we want you to, that's prescribed by the state, that there's going to be a hammer that comes in and kind of, really comes down harder on the county. That's just not there. So those are the two big takeaways. Next week, we're going to have some folks here in the county from the Department of Ecology. Hope to continue that conversation, and then in the next few weeks, I'm confident that we'll have a plan that we can vote on to make sure that we have everything in place for the sewer, so it's financially solvent. And so we know which direction that we want to head with that. So just put that out there for people. Stay tuned. Next week we'll have another briefing here in the county on that, and hopefully get moving in the right direction.
Oh, good. Wonderful. That's good to know that there's a little bit of movement happening.
Yeah, and so I know you have Senator Sheldon on a little later, and it might be something that he might want to fill in the blanks too on.
That would be good.
Yeah.
You're on today as well to talk about an article that you have out in the media here today, Budgeting for Mason's County Future. You are the commission chair this year, and you are getting there in front of folks, and they're talking with you, and we're talking with things and budgets and this and that. You have some new ideas for budgeting in Mason County.
No, absolutely. And so writing a budget is the top priority of the county commission. That's our job. We're we have the powers of the purse, so to speak, and so there's nothing that we do that's more important than writing and implementing a budget that's responsible and balanced and meets the needs of all of our residents in Mason County. One of the things that I've found is that there are a lot of battles that happen when it comes to a budget. I've seen it in my work in the legislature in Olympia. Certainly we see it here locally. As we start to deal with reduced revenue and we start to look at a lot of the issues that, the services that we have to provide, and then you couple that with mandates that are handed down from state and federal government, the pie that you're working with is getting smaller and smaller. And so when we do these budgets annually, it doesn't give us an opportunity to look as far ahead as I think we should be looking. It doesn't give us an opportunity to plan ahead like I think we should. And it makes those budget battles feel like there are fewer and fewer winners every year. Yeah. And so I wanted to look for an opportunity to plan a little bit more for the future. And so I've come forward with a proposal that Mason County moves to a biennial budget. That's a 2-year budget, so that in year one we'll write a budget that goes for the 2 years, and it sets priorities, sets policy priorities. And then in that second year of the budget, which is something that this is the real opportunity for us here in Mason County. It gives us an opportunity to look at how we're managing those dollars, and it gives us an opportunity to say, okay, are these programs that we're funding working? Are they effective? Are we getting the best bang for our buck? And so being able to do that and give our staff that opportunity to do that analysis in that second year is going to be really critical, because then what happens is, as it is now, you do a 1-year budget and you're looking a little bit ahead into the next year, but this would extend us out to essentially looking at 4 years out. And that's everything from spending to revenue, where it's coming in from, and how we can get grant money and other funding sources to fund the programs that we need to fund here. One of the other things that it really does, Jeff, is it allows our staff directors and our electeds to take on that project manager role. I'm a big fan of looking at project delivery and what we can accomplish and how we get things completed for the people in Mason County. This would, especially as we look at Belfair bypass, we talk about the sewer system, we look ahead to a potential for a new jail, a lot of those different criminal justice projects. This will empower our staff to really take on that project manager role, focus on the details, and get the work done. And instead of, as it is now, we come in, we pass the budget in December, we have about 6 to 8 months, where we're implementing those policies, and we're right back at it.
Yeah.
This would give us, per 2-year cycle, would extend that to probably about 18 to 20 months, where, folks are able to implement the policy, see if it's working, and then come back when we write the next 2-year budget and say, yeah, this worked or this didn't, this is what we should change, this is how we can improve.
I got a question for you about this. When we look at these 2-year and lookouts and look-aheads, I don't want to speak for the Sheriff's Office, but they're one of the main contributors as part of the budget. They have a big piece of that budget. I would imagine that they would say, we can't really even think ahead to what is maybe happening this weekend versus 2 years down the road.
Sure. Well, there are things that are always going to be fixed costs. And I think when we start to look at what we have to fund in county government, we look at what's mandated by state or federal law, we start there. That's your non-discretionary spending. That's going to be in every budget. So we start with those, and then we go and we figure out, okay, these are the extra items that we need. And then, it gives every office in the county, it gives every elected an opportunity to come forward with proposals and say, this is what we think we might need, and this is the funding that we think we're going to need to implement it. And so it really would give an opportunity, and I think this is one of the things that the sheriff has talked about, and that I've heard, in my campaign, and now, as commissioner, there's people are looking for priorities to be set, and so that they could budget around those priorities. And so this would be a chance for us to do that and set those priorities and say, okay, come now forward with your proposals and let's make it fit. Let's see where we make this fit and how we do it. And so I think that as much of it is difficult to predict, there's a lot that we can predict, and there's a lot that we can do within the 2-year framework in order to have a budget that works. We're not the first ones to try this. Obviously the state has a 2-year budget, and then there are about 50 or so counties and cities in the state that also operate on a biennial budget, including our neighbor Thurston County. So they've moved to a biennial budget as well. So
does it seem like, if you talk with the folks in Thurston County, the commissioners there, that it's working for them?
Yeah, I have every indication that they're happy with the change. You know, and Skagit County is another one. You know, and they were just able to complete a major jail project in Skagit County, and I think a lot of that is due in part to the planning opportunity that this would provide.
One of the things you say is that we must improve our local economic forecasting and revenue analysis. How do we do that currently, and what would you like to see be done?
Yeah, so I think with that, you know, it's just an opportunity to evaluate where our money's coming from. A lot of it is property tax, sales tax. Let's start, you know, taking those trends and analyses out farther than a year or so.
Okay.
You know, and I think right now we're looking very micro. Let's start to look a little bit more, you know, broadly at what funding we can anticipate. And then part of that, I think, that dovetails into that is looking for grant funding and other sources of funding from the state and federal government to help with some of our capital projects.
When you talk about the mandates that are coming down from the state and the federal government, and also a difficult regulatory environment, what are some examples that you have of those?
Well, we see, you know, I think in particular the one issue that we're really faced with right now is the state Supreme Court's ruling with the Hearst decision that deals with water and you know, and wells and those kinds of things that really kind of impact local development, rural development in particular. So when we see things like that happen, it kind of causes people to hit the pause button in the county, and it concerns development. You know, when people say, okay, well, there's this potential that we won't be able to invest capital in you know, into a rural county, you know, that goes someplace else. And so when we have to come up against things like that, we have to really factor those kinds of decisions that trickle down to the local economy and local government. We have to factor those in. And so what I want to do is I want to be able to, you know, put ourselves in a position where we're planning for those, and we're finding ways to make sure that our internal controls and policies are in place so that, you know, we can adapt to those as they come.
When you talk about finding funding sources, where are those sources?
So again, we're looking at grant funding. There's an entire network of grant funding available. Yesterday we just had our commission retreat. We were fortunate to have representatives from Congressman Heck and Kilmer's office join us. They were talking about transportation funding options. So there's a variety of things that we can do. We have a great grant writer in the county that's constantly looking for, you know, those opportunities. So they're available. It's just we can't leave any stone unturned.
Sure. So how do we then move ahead in the coming weeks? You say you're going to be out there talking with folks, and what does it take to get this implemented?
So there's a lot of leeway under state law into how and when a county can implement a 2-year budget. And so, you know, we really, you know, we'll have to make a decision whether or not we want to do this by June.
Okay.
So I wanted to give us enough time to have the conversation as a community. I've included the other elected officials in Mason County to, you know, and shared my proposal with them. I've been met with some support from those who've gotten back to me, and so I just look forward to continuing that dialogue. And I welcome input from the public. I want people to contact me at the county and let me know what they think. You know, and certainly think that you know, this proposal I think would set us up for a stronger financial future. It's not going to put more money in our account.
Right.
It's just not. I mean, that's just not what this is designed to do. But it is designed to put us in a better position to plan for those things, set priorities, and then go out and get the work done.
Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty on the air with me this morning, and you'll be able to read this as well and comment it on. We'll post it on our website along with this interview here this morning. And thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Always nice seeing you.